Winter. Time for ice fishing, snowmobiles, and maybe a little pond hockey. Winter's full of fun and games. Until a pipe freezes and bursts. Get ahead of the freezing weather with Mow and Flow. It monitors your home's water and shuts it off automatically before it can burst your winter plans. Moen.
Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about some of the city's greatest Black-owned food destinations for you to support right now. Our host, Claudia Meza, is talking with freelance reporter Jenni Moore about some of her favorite spots. We'll be talking about the best sneaker-themed coffee shop, where to try Portland's best Catfish burrito, and everything in between. It's Tuesday, February 4th. I'm executive producer John Notarianni, and this is what Portland's talking about.
So let's talk through your picks like we would eat through the day. So like basically coffee all the way through dinner. But also if there's any restaurant that you're like, oh, they have vegan options, if you could shout it out, that would be helpful for some of our listeners so they could plan their own hangouts with their non-vegan friends.
Yeah, totally. To start, I'll just say I'm not like in the restaurant industry or like an expert on the Portland food scene by any means, but I definitely consider myself a foodie and I like to go out to eat or get drinks as much as I can afford to. I used to do a ton of food writing and stuff before I got more into music, but I still dabble because I do like it a lot.
What are some of your favorite Black-owned coffee shops right now?
For sure. Definitely Deadstock is always going to be on my coffee list down in Old Town, Chinatown. It's just kind of like a sneakerhead's dream and a coffee lover's dream, like all wrapped into one. Ian Williams is the owner, and he's a former shoe developer for Nike, and now he's like a coffee roaster and a business owner. And I mean, he's been doing this for a long time now, but his former like shoe background kind of informs like the whole theme and aesthetic of the place, which is really cool. Yeah, it's just like a dream interior if you love like sneakers and NBA culture and stuff like that. So it's just a very cool vibe, and it really fits in well in Old Town because they have those other like secondhand stores that sell like old vintage jerseys and rare sneakers and stuff like that. And it's very different than a lot of the other coffee shops in town because, one, they don't have like a proper menu.
Okay.
Which for a lot of people are like, where do I begin? They're like, we'll make anything for you. Like they have like all the syrups that you can imagine and more. They do like seasonal menus. Sometimes they'll have like a summer menu with like, these are our summer drinks.
Oh, okay.
But in general, it's just kind of like, what do you want? We'll make it. They make all the regular stuff that coffee shops make. They have like lavender and matcha and all that stuff. So really, it's just like sky's the limit. But they do have like some specific vernacular to them that like if you're like a regular there, you'll figure out that slow jams is code for decaf. And if you order a Luther Vandross is like a silky lavender mocha. I really like the lavender oat milk latte, or I'll get like the lavender white mocha. All the mochas come with like a shoe illustration on top of them.
Oh, like on the top?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah, that's like
what kind of shoe?
A Nike like high top sneaker.
I was about to say, is it a high top?
Yeah. And it's very cute. It's very Instagrammable. They'll put a shoe on anything though. Like you don't have to get a mocha. You can just like request a shoe. But I think they use like cocoa powder or whatever. And a stencil. So they just like put it right on top of your drink, and you take your little picture and be on your way. The one thing they don't have is like places to really sit. That it's not really like a third place, if you will.
Oh, you just stop in and grab.
Yeah, stop in, maybe talk to some people, check out the art. They often have like some things on sale. Like they might have like a few jerseys or merchandise that you can peruse.
I remember they had a service where they would clean sneakers. Like, I don't know if it was like an adjoining business or something, but you could bring your sneakers and you could get them cleaned and like look brand new. And I remember hearing that for a while, and I had like all these sneakers that I was like, oh yeah, I got to drop these off. And by the time I was like, got my shit together, they weren't doing that anymore. And I was like, God damn it.
I don't know. Maybe that was around the time they started roasting their own beans and they were like, we got to cut some.
Yeah, we're going to clean sneakers or we're going to roast beans.
Right.
Oh, what's another coffee shop. I know that there might be one also in Old Town, which is kind of an interesting location for there to be 2 coffee shops, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, because there's not a ton in town at all of Black-owned coffee shops. But yeah, so I'm not sure if you remember Floyd's coffee shop in Chinatown. So that space is now called Cafe United, and these 2 guys took it over, and now it's Black-owned. They don't have a website yet. It's very like Facebook and Instagram only. So if you're looking for them, you'll have to look on one of those platforms. Their whole thing is like they want to bring like a lot of different cultures together and do different kinds of like cultural events in their space. They have like a small library in there, and they do live music. They host different artists in there doing different things and stuff.
So this is more like a third space, like people can work from there and stuff.
Yeah, they've actually said they want to be like the third place. I think it's in a tough location right now with a lot of people kind of leaving that area of town. So I think it's a good one to support if you are around and you want to go work somewhere and you're in Old Town or something. They definitely have like tables for that and small patio and stuff too.
Yeah, we had a guest, Suzette Smith. We do these neighborhood guides as a series. And we had our friend Suzette come on, and she lives in Old Town, and I believe she brought up Cafe United as a cool place to work out, because she was also saying how it's kind of hard to find places to hang out in, you know, in that area, or just outside, you know, like there's not like many just like, oh, here's a bench. But she was like Cafe United.
It's a good place to meet people, do a coffee date or whatever. And I feel like their music selection has really improved with the new ownership too. Like it's always like bumping in there and you're like, yeah, this is like a fun vibe.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm glad that they took it over, because during COVID, Floyd's, they just kept reducing their hours more and more and more. And they had a East Side location too, but they closed that one.
Yeah, it was like kind of close to Nostrana's and like that whole area. Yeah, they closed that. I like their little burritos.
Thank you. Literally, the whole thing is I love their burritos so
Their little
much.
burritos are so good. Like perfect price point.
Yes, like a $4 burrito.
Yeah.
And the last I checked, Cafe United is still serving those burritos. Yeah.
What?
So they inherited the burritos. Last I checked.
And are they still $4?
I think they might be 5 now.
Okay.
Maybe 6.
All right.
I know.
Okay. Are there any other coffee shops that you would recommend? Like we're starting off our morning.
The one I would say is kind of a coffee shop. L'Atelier Yafe. It's an art space that doubles as a cafe and a bar.
I see where it's at. It's on MLK, but it's very close to Burnside, like when you get to the Burnside Bridge. And so there's that building with all the squiggles on it and stuff.
Yeah.
That's called the Fair-Haired Dumbbell, just FYI.
Gotcha. But yeah, so it's pretty central location, which is cool. And then they're like art focused, but they also have a cafe, and they're like kind of becoming a spot where a lot of events can be held. Like I know A Beat Happening has done quite a few events there. That's like a producer and beat maker focused showcase.
And it's called A Beat. That's so funny because, Beat Happening.
A Beat Happening.
Yeah, but like there's a band from Olympia from long ago that started K Records called Beat Happening.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But they're not hip hop in any way.
Right.
It's just some very tall man with a very low voice who many people thought might be half deaf. But he's not. And I liked his singing, but a lot of people didn't. If anyone listens to Beat Happening, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. Well, so we have our coffee in hand. What about some like brunch or lunch spots? I have Poshine's Cafe de la Soul. That's in Kenton, right?
Yes, it's in Kenton, right on Denver. They're associated pretty closely with the nearby Celebration Tabernacle Church. So they're often doing like charitable stuff. Like I think during COVID, they were giving like a lot of seniors free meals. They are often like a community gathering place, and it feels just like very neighborhoody. But yeah, they have a lot of really good, just like Southern Creole and soul food favorites. I always get the beignets because you got to get the beignets.
Wait, hold on. They have homemade beignets?
Yes, they do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And they, they do all the, po' boys, black-eyed peas, red beans and rice. Whenever I go, it's actually usually for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not for breakfast, I usually get like a catfish basket or something. But at breakfast, I love getting the Bayou breakfast burrito with blackened catfish. It's so good.
Yeah. This doesn't look like a very vegan-friendly place.
It's not. It's not.
I'm looking, I'm just like, and vegans can eat nothing.
Yeah. It's one of the only spots I think on my list that really doesn't have much of anything for vegans. And that's pretty unique in this city, right? So.
It is. I feel like at any place, when people ask, I'm like, just any freaking restaurant usually has. I mean, it may not be like the best, but it's got something for your friends to share.
Absolutely.
Cool. So Post Shines.
Yeah. I had just, in researching this, found out that a former owner there was accused of sexual assault by members of his church, was sort of pushed out of, his leadership roles in the community and stuff. So I am not sure how involved he still is, but it doesn't look like he is very involved in it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he got kind of like pushed out.
Yeah, and he does deny the allegations that were actually published in the Mercury in 2020.
Oh, wow. Well, good to know.
Yes.
No vegan options and that.
Right.
But a good catfish burrito is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
So Post Shines Cafe de la Soul in Kenton, I've eaten there. I have to agree, it's super delicious. The next one that I see is Dirty Lettuce in Cully, which is really good vegan soul food.
Mm-hmm.
What do you get at Dirty Lettuce?
I really love their fried green tomatoes. I freaking love fried green tomatoes. So I like them. They also just announced a launch of their new menus for brunch, happy hour, cocktails, and zero proof that is about to be happening. So that's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Are they strictly vegan or do they have like other food that is non-vegan? They're strictly vegan.
They're strictly vegan. It's woman owned as well.
Oh, cool. The other place I have is Grits and Gravy downtown, which I've been to. I think it's super delicious. Do you go there often?
No, that is actually a spot that's at the top of my list to go. But I have close friends who've been.
I love that. I'm like, let me tell you about Grits and Gravy. Pretty good. They have chicory coffee, which is good. I feel like not many places make good chicory coffee.
Yeah.
I think their grits are really good. I haven't had their waffles or their chicken and waffles or anything like that. I hear good things about it, but I just think the space feels really nice.
Yeah.
Like it's just a really, you know what I'm talking about? Like you just go in and you're like, oh, it feels like a good diner.
Yes.
But elevated, And they have like the little counter. It's got the little like spinny, cushiony bar stool. Like it just feels really nice in there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I gathered. I was like, it looks very dinery, which is very cute. And the Black Portland Facebook group is always recommending it. Like whenever anyone asks, where do I go for good soul food and brunch? Everyone's like, grits and gravy, grits and gravy.
Nice. They have a massive menu. I'm not seeing a ton of vegan options. I'm sorry, our vegan listener friends. I'm not even seeing that many. I guess there are veggie options, but well, you know what? Dirty lettuce.
Right. There's plenty of other places that have vegan soul food options.
Well, how about for dinner? Like, what would you recommend? I see some of my favorite places here that you've thrown out. But first, let's start off with Alberta Street Pub. I did not know that was Black-owned.
Yeah, newly so. I think in 2023 when Tyrone Hendricks, the drummer, a musician here in town, became one of the owners. So now it's the only Black-owned venue in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are literally no other. I mean, I know Friends of Noise just got a space. So maybe there's another one now. And I think it's just really like a good staple on Alberta that's like laid back, and they do a variety of stuff there. They do all these different live events, including comedy and live music and bingo, and they have a really great patio out back.
Yeah, Alberta Street Pub is just a staple you know.
Yeah, I love their fish and chips too.
Well, the other place that I see listed here is Amalfi's. It's also like in the Cully, Beaumont, Wilshire neighborhood. Tell me about Amalfi's.
Yeah, I feel like it has this like old Portland vibe because the owner, Kiana Floyd, she's the third generation of her family to own the restaurant.
Yeah, since 1959?
Yeah, and she actually
That's
grew.
awesome.
It is so cool. I'm like, that is like a very rare story, especially in this town. And, you know, she grew up like washing dishes there, and she took over the spot in 2006. And it was actually one of the first restaurants in Portland to serve pizza, believe it or not.
What?
Which is kind of a crazy thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, they serve up a lot of the various Italian greatest hits, from spaghetti and pasta carbonara and pizza and chicken parmigiana. She like commissioned a mural outside that, so it's marked by that like Black Rosie the Riveter painting, which is cool. I think it's a pretty good like date night spot. I think it's cool to have like variety, that like not every Black owned spot is going to be like soul food, Southern food, Creole, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's nice to have diversity, I guess, in
cuisine. Yeah. I also want to shout out that they have an Italian-inspired marketplace specializing in like house-made foods, and it's called the Mercato.
Yes.
And I think it's like right there inside. So just if you're in the area and you didn't know, go inside. It looks like you can just stop in and get a salad and pop out. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And the other one that you also mentioned, it happens to be one of my favorite places. It's Acadi, which used to be on MLK, which is where I would go, because that was like my pandemic spot. Like, you know, during the lockdown, we would go to Acadi and then we'd go to other places on the Killingsworth Strip. I was in that neighborhood. Now it's over in Southeast Division, and it's huge. It like opened up. It's like 3 or 4 times the space it used to have on MLK. Like, what do you get there?
Yeah, I actually wrote a story right after they opened the new one. So I got to go try some things on a couple different occasions. And I just really love the vibe in there. It's really big. They have these like really high vaulted ceilings and like exposed wooden beams. And they got like plants hanging from the ceiling. And it just feels very like festive in there and like open air, kind of like an industrial-ish type of building. But it feels very like homey in there. When I go, I always shop the vegan menu, actually, speaking of vegan stuff.
The vegan menu is my favorite. It's so good. Well, if you don't know, if people are just like, what is this? It's a West African spot.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Portland doesn't have many West African spots. We have a lot of Ethiopian, and we'll get into why we have a lot of Ethiopian in a little bit. But like, this chef is one of the first. She's, I believe it's like the Ivory Coast.
Yep.
She came through, and she was one of the very first people in our area to make this food for us. So it was the first time I had that specific goat stew or that like peanut stew. So many different things. I know you called out the whole fish. I love that whole fish. I know we just talked about the vegan menu, but that whole fish is so good.
It is. It's very tender, indeed.
Do you get the fufu there?
I did. I think it's a great place to order family style. So when we go, we try to just get like a smattering of things so that we can try as much as possible, because everything's just so damn flavorful. And she, I know, did like a lot of traveling when she was like refixing her menu and like gonna reopen and stuff. So she really put like so much thought into this menu, and it really comes through with how good the cooking is. It makes sense that there are no modifications because she's like, no, this is authentic food. And it also is helpful that they are very accommodating to different diets. So they have like plenty of stuff for vegans, plenty of stuff that's gluten-free or paleo or whatever. But yeah, the fried fish, super tender, even though it does have like a full fin, tail, and head on it. So expect to see an entire fish when you open your...
It's so good though.
It is so good. But yeah, gotta get those sweet plantains. And I love the stews, though. The vegan stews, which are usually like a squash. They have like 2 different ones, I think, that kind of center squash. And their Acadi sauce is so good, too.
I have some in my fridge right now.
Yeah.
That Acadi sauce, that's what you dip the plantains on. It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, if you go, just get the fufu. I don't know if they still do the corn. I know they have cassava. Get a stew. I'm not a big okra fan, but I love their spicy okra. And like, that's the thing that I would get with a fufu. It's so good. And also, like, if you're listening and you ever read Homegoing, I don't know if you read that book. It's by Ya Gyasi. It was like a bestseller in 2016. And it just sort of coincided that I read this book. I was reading about all this food from the Ivory Coast. It's like a historical novel, generations of this Black American family, you know, going from their roots in Africa to like all of the diaspora of her family and like through Chicago. Just, it's a gorgeous read. But it's when I was introduced to all these foods like fufu and all this, and I literally Googled West African food, Portland, and it took me straight to Akati. And that's like, it was through that book that I found Akati. Like,
wow.
Like so long ago. And I was just like, I will eat all the foods that I read about. And I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. It was like, I lucked out. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you like read a bunch of stuff and you're like, what is Turkish delight? And then you taste it and you're like, well, that's gross. You know, Edmund was wrong. You know, he was an idiot.
Right.
But yeah, West African food. Oh,
it's so good.
Up there. It's like one of my favorite cuisines.
Yeah, and there was one other gal in Portland, Salamatu Amabebe, who is West African, and she used to do these vegan pop-ups. It was like an intro to that type of cuisine for sure, but they don't do them anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that just like we have a ton of amazing Ethiopian and Eritrean food, that we end up getting more and more West African food. But do you know, I feel like most people don't like think about it, but like Portland has one of the most amazing Ethiopian food scenes. Like we have such good Ethiopian food, and a lot of people don't know that it's because in the 80s there was this influx of Ethiopian immigrants because we're a sanctuary city. And so there were a lot of people coming from these areas because of political issues. And because of that, we have like all of Killingsworth around PCC. There's all these like African markets and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to shout out my favorite Ethiopian restaurant, which of course, like, it's like your favorite bar or whatever. It's the one closest to you. But this is the place I would go to all the time when I lived in that area. And it's Enoch Kitchen. I got to say, I think it's the best Ethiopian in town, but I think everyone has like their spot. So I was going to ask you, Jenni, if you had a favorite Ethiopian restaurant.
I actually don't. I gotta be honest.
You do not like Ethiopian food?
I've tried.
Is it the injera? Because it's sour. Because I know some people don't like the injera.
It's the injera, yes.
So
I don't know what it is. I know.
I feel like if you went to Enoch, I feel like if you got the right thing, like Shiro, you don't like, oh my God. Shiro is, I think, the thing that like the game changer for a lot of people. Like they'll have Shiro and they're like, oh, this is really good.
I think what I need is to go with someone who
knows,
like, eats it a lot and like can order for me. Like I need someone else to order because I was just like, I don't know what to order. I don't know what I like. So no, I don't have one yet.
But I do want to call out that is very vegan friendly.
Right. That's true.
Oh, man. Jenni, just give it a try. If anyone out there wants to take Jenni out for a free... So at the end, she'll just tell you if she likes it. I don't like it.
Yeah. That's what I need.
Well, before we wrap up, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. What's a pick for a good date spot?
My pick would definitely be Oliver Twist Martini Bar in the Pearl District. It's been around for over 20 years now. And
what? I've never been. I want to
It's
go.
very cute. I mean, there's only a handful of martini bars in town. Because it does feel kind of like vintage in a way to have like a like we're kind of like a beer and wine type of town, I think. People like cocktails, but like martinis, that's like a fancy thing. So I feel like it's a good date night outing. I mean, I also love martini. I love the glass. I like feeling like I'm in Sex and the City or something. That's
the perfect explanation. Okay, two things. What is your favorite martini? Like, what's your martini order? Because, you know, martini is a wide spectrum.
Yeah. So my favorite martini is called an aviation cocktail. So
it's an aviation gin?
It doesn't have to be aviation gin. I think aviation gin is named after the aviation cocktail.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I'm learning.
At one point, I had the ingredients in my cabinet, so I knew exactly what it was. But it's gin, maraschino, liqueur, and then there's creme de violet liqueur in it, which gives it this like purple hue. So it has kind of like a floral vibe. It's very delightful and pretty, and it's extremely strong. also. So you probably should.
Yeah, because it's like liquor with liquor. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the best part of a
So,
martini. They're
yeah.
like, I'd like some liquor inside this liquor, please, and ice cold.
Right. That one it is good, but my favorite order from Oliver Twist is definitely their hazelnut chocolate martini, which is
Oh my God.
their take on an espresso martini.
Ooh.
It is so good. I had it in June because we went after rehearsal dinner for my wedding.
Oh, wow.
Me and like 3 of my bridal party went just for a nightcap. They were like, okay, 1 drink. We're going to go get an espresso martini and just have 1 drink. We're not going to get crazy. And we went and...
that's not what happened, is it?
It did. I think we might have gotten second drinks, maybe. But we kept it pretty together because we had a wedding the next day. But it's just so good. Like the hazelnut chocolate, it's like vodka, Zen chocolate liqueur, hazelnut espresso vodka from Bend Distillery, and then it has a powdered chocolate rim. It is a perfect nightcap if you love chocolate. So that's definitely what I would recommend from them.
Nice.
As well as all their other stuff.
Also, I wanted to ask you, but are you a Carrie? Which one are you? A Charlotte? Are you a Miranda? Are you a Samantha? Which one are you?
You know, that is a question that...
You can think about this. Okay, well, think about this. This is how we're going to wrap this up on. I need to hear it. But also, I know that you wanted to shout out Fat Cupcake, which you haven't been to, but yet you said that they're a Black-owned bakery in Southeast Portland and the suburbs. So I just wanted to make sure you got that shout out.
I don't know a ton other than about their actual cupcakes that I've stocked on the internet.
Oh, I love that you're like, haven't been, have stocked.
My thing is, I love vegan cupcakes, but I'm like kind of weird about, like, I'm not even vegan, but something about vegan cupcakes is just like superior to me. But what I love about them is they have like rotating flavors all the time. Mm-hmm. And for special occasions, like I think I want to try to use them for my daughter's birthday this year or something, because they do these really cool, different, like creative designs that you could order the cupcakes in. That's not just like I love Saint cupcake, but you know, a lot of places don't give you a ton of options as far as the designs. It's like, oh, you can pick the color of the sprinkles or something like that. But I love how they have like these design options that I'm like, wow, this is like perfect for like a themed party or something, because you can get like dinosaurs or little Minnie Mouse cupcakes or flowers.
Mm-hmm. I love that you prefer vegan cupcakes.
They're better. The frosting is better.
Yeah, I prefer vegan corn dogs. I just like them more. I don't know what it is.
That's fair.
Okay, anyhow. Anywhere else you would recommend people check out to support more Black-owned businesses?
Yeah. I mean, I don't need to shout this restaurant out because I think they're fine. But obviously, if you can get a reservation to Con or the bar.
I think Con is doing good.
I think they're doing good because no one can get in. But if you can, go and let me know how it is.
It would be a Black History miracle if you can get into Con.
Literally. I'm like, what do I have to do? But shout out to Gregory Gourdet, because I loved him since his departure days, for sure. Mm-hmm. But there's also just like different collectives and markets.
Like My People's Market?
Yeah. Like
shout out My People's Market.
Yes. We love My People's Market, put on by the Mercatus folks. It's just really cool to like have those opportunities to go to an event and come across so many different businesses, even though obviously My People's Market isn't all Black owned, it's BIPOC owned businesses. But still, you go and you're just like, wow, I just found out about all these amazing businesses that are right here in the city that I didn't know about because maybe they aren't getting a ton of press, or maybe they're a little unconventional with the way they do things, or they don't have a website yet, or whatever. So there's also that Come Through Black and Indigenous Market, which I just heard about.
Yeah, I know it's closed for the winter. It'll open up May through October. But yeah, I've also heard about Come Through. It looks pretty cool. Well, Jenni, thank you so much for hanging out with us and going through some of your favorite spots or spots that you're like excited to check out. Did you figure out which Sex and the City character you are?
I feel like I've always been kind of a mix. I don't even want to say I'm a Carrie, but sometimes I feel like I'm a Carrie just because I'm a writer.
Which is, I mean, kind of sad because nobody wants to be a Carrie, but okay.
I know. I honestly feel like personality-wise, I'm more of like Honestly, like some days I'm Miranda and other days I'm Samantha.
Okay. Okay.
I know.
So you're an even mix of Carrie, Miranda, and Samantha?
I'm literally just not Charlotte.
Okay. So mean.
I like Charlotte. I'm just not her.
Okay, let's no Charlotte hate here.
No, I love Charlotte. I'm just not her.
Okay. Oh my God, love it. Well, thank you so much, Jenni. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us and spending some time.
Thanks so much for having me. It was great talking with you.
Well, that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.